We went from mistakes in Iraq to Egypt to Libya to President Obama's line in the sand in Syria. It all began with the dangerous idea that we could make Western democracies out of countries that had no experience or interest in becoming a Western democracy. We tore up what institutions they had, and then were surprised at what we unleashed. Civil war, religious fanaticism, thousands of Americans, and just killed lives wasted, horribly wasted.
Sudan is famous for another reason when it comes to Israeli history, and that's the 1967 Khartoum Resolution. The three no's. No to peace with Israel, no to recognition with Israel, and no to negotiations with Israel. So the turning around of that changing now into normalization is a significant statement, certainly a foreign policy accomplishment by the White House, and a big one for Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, who has pointed out this is now the three yeses. 3 Arab states agreeing to normalize relations with Israel within just a few months.
Part of what America is trying to do right now, what the Trump administration is trying to do, is claw back the credibility squandered in every side by President Obama. And I think this is part of how they're doing it, and I actually think it's a good move. You know what? Threatening the Iranian regime, the world's leading state sponsor of terrorism, tremendous maker of trouble, partner in proliferation with North Korea, and Russia's pal in the Middle East for all their disputes in Syria. A good move. It's much better than if Trump had extended a hand.
Your enemies will respect you if they think there's going to be action taken. So we saw in the previous administration lots of talk, all sorts of talk, and it was never backed up. So our enemies, bad guys, knew that. With President Trump, whether you like him or not, it's safe to say that the people who are against us are not sure if he's really, they actually believe he might reach out and hurt them. Because if they thought at any moment that he was full of BS and he was not really willing to follow through, they wouldn't even come to the table. But they obviously think this guy might just be the one to do it.
And I think that there is a major difference night and day between the 8 years of Obama-Biden administration's foreign policy and the 4 years of the Trump-Pence administration's foreign policy. And I begin with the first and most important one, basically, is the Iran deal. The Iran deal had given Iran regime so much power, so much money to buy more weapons and to control 4 countries in the Middle East. The withdrawal by the Trump administration of the Iran deal was the major change that benefited the Middle East.
President Trump has shaken the foreign policy shibboleths that deserve to be shaken. He has questioned inherited wisdom that deserves to be re-examined. The unconventional approaches he has taken have not yet resulted in the quick victories that he himself predicted. However, neither did the prior policies. We have not started a nuclear war, and President Trump's initiatives have opened up new avenues that may well lead to real successes to long-standing problems. In the Middle East, oil continues to flow to the world at reasonable prices. Israel remains secure. The Islamic State has been eliminated in Iraq and in Syria. Iran is, despite its recent gambits, adhering to the nuclear agreement and under economic pressure from the United States is reconsidering the costs and the benefits of its regional aggression. In the Far East, North Korea is engaged and on the defensive, and China has been restrained in its actions in the South China Sea, and it's engaged in negotiations on these mercantilist policies which hurt all of the other countries of the world. So to return one last time to a baseball metaphor, not a bad scorecard.
So you have Trump, who's breaking that mold. He's not captive to what people inside the Beltway think. He's not captive to conventional wisdom. He's charting new ground, and he's getting more results. And so I think that there is somewhat of a resentment just because he's not listening to a lot of the people who think that they're so wise about these things.
In a shocking new report today, we are now learning that former members of the Obama administration have been caught holding back-channel communications with Iranian officials on how to defeat U.S. foreign policy under the Trump administration. Specifically, they've been contacting Iran's foreign minister, Mohammad Javad Zarif. One American News exposed John Kerry's illegal shadow diplomacy with Zarif last year, when the two were caught holding secret meetings together in Paris and photos were taken of them. Kerry's deep ties to Zarif are well known. In some cases, Obama officials reportedly attended Capitol Hill meetings to learn information about new U.S. policies from congressional Democrats and then relayed that information to the Iranian government. This, of course, is in violation of the Logan Act, the same act that General Flynn was spied upon after Trump had been elected.
James, what do you think they would undo that would hurt us?
Well, look, they don't have a lot of options here. They can't go back to the Iran deal. There won't be an Iran deal to go back to. They can't have the China they want because China's very aggressive now. They'll have to deal with that. They can't reset with Russia. We know that's failed. So it's very, very difficult to say, okay, what are they going to come in and do way better? Except, it'll be like kindergarten and all the kids in the class will all just get along. That was essentially the incoming impulse of the Obama administration. And literally in every theater, it never worked.